Chapter 2046, Falling for a Trap. Demon Immortal Qi Ju arrived and immediately attacked Qi Si Ancestor. The secluded domain of heaven and earth above his head, Qi Land, was too powerful against Qi Path. Qi Si Ancestor was Dragon Palace's greatest help. Now that he was restrained, Dragon Palace's situation became more dangerous. But soon, Myriad Year Flying Warship arrived too and started to join the fight. Even though Fang Yuan faced much difficulty, he managed to drag this fight on. Spectral Soul yelled. His body moved like a specter. His palm landed on Dragon Palace again. Countless soul beast silhouettes appeared on the surface of Dragon Palace, like a series of still images. A portion of Dragon Palace shattered. It was damaged both internally and externally. Dragon Palace unleashed dreamy light smoke. Spectral Soul quickly retreated. The next moment, Demon Immortal Qi Ju pointed at Dragon Palace. Suddenly, the Qi currents gathered. They exploded instantly. The exterior of Dragon Palace had already been blown to bits. Only the main hall was left. Now that it suffered this powerful attack from Demon Immortal Qi Ju, a huge hole appeared on the roof of this main hall. It could be seen from the outside. Spectral Soul saw this and smiled coldly, not holding back his praise. Qi Ju, well done. At this stage, everyone knew that Dragon Palace was in grave danger. If they worked harder, they would be able to shatter it entirely. Fang Yuan and Qi Si Ancestor could cooperate. Demon Immortal Qi Ju and Spectral Soul could do the same as well. After Demon Immortal Qi Ju joined the fight, he suppressed Qi Si Ancestor and cooperated with Spectral Soul. Even though they did not have close coordination, these two had abundant battle experience. They could find ways to work together. And this cooperation pushed Dragon Palace beyond the brink of destruction. When Fairy Ziwei, Qin Ding Ling, and Bing Sichuan arrived, they saw that Dragon Palace shattered into countless fragments as they scattered everywhere. Fang Yuan and Wu Shuai, who were inside Dragon Palace, were exposed. But they quickly went inside Myriad Year Flying Warship, which came to pick them up. Myriad Year Flying Warship was significantly faster than Dragon Palace. It immediately moved away and escaped. The three groups of immortals were stunned before feeling great joy. Quick! Fang Yuan is done for. Dragon Palace was actually destroyed. Even though Myriad Year Flying Warship is fast, in terms of defense, it is inferior to Dragon Palace. We must kill Fang Yuan. We must restore Heavenly Court's reputation. Fang Yuan destroyed our Imperial Court-blessed land. There is deep hatred between him and Longevity Heaven. We will kill him and take all of his true inheritances and goo worms. We will pull out his soul and torture him for all eternity. Fang Yuan, it is finally time for Shadow Sect to take care of you. We will kill Fang Yuan first before we compete among ourselves. We must not let him have any chance of getting away during our conflict. The immortals rushed up. They pursued Fang Yuan with great enthusiasm. This was the greatest predicament that Fang Yuan had ever been in since his rebirth. He was currently chased by the top 3 super forces in the world. Most of the world's strongest experts had gathered behind him. Qin Ding Ling, Fairy Ziwei, and Bing Sichuan were goo immortals that left a name for themselves in history. There was even a fearsome being like Spectral Soul. Fang Yuan, you cannot escape. Spectral Soul smiled coldly to himself. When he saw that everyone's target was Fang Yuan, he did not chase them away. He allowed everyone to pursue him. Stay attentive. Defend against Spectral Soul and Longevity Heaven. Qin Ding Ling instructed. This was truly an amazing sight. Heavenly Court, Longevity Heaven, and Shadow Sect joined forces to pursue Fang Yuan. But because of their mutual wariness, they did not go all out. Fang Yuan did not create a situation where the 3 sides clashed, because they all were not simple characters. At the same time, Fang Yuan's grudges with them were too deep. The wealth that he held was also too alluring. Even if they held back, they were still sufficiently strong. Their killer moves were all strange and unpredictable. Not long afterwards, Myriad Year Flying Warship became covered in damages. Many goo worm corpses fell off it while it flew and escaped. At this rate, there is no way out. Wu Shuai shouted. Main body, our road to the north has been blocked. We can only go southwest now. This is hopeless. We cannot last much longer. Myriad Year Flying Warship is much frilier than Dragon Palace. Fang Yuan's main body was sitting down and dealing with the myriad tribulation he instructed. Go underground. See if there's any hope underground. Myriad-year flying warship was maneuvering in the sky, dodging Spectral Soul's black soul ball, but a large number of killer moves still landed on it. The white ship defended against the barrage of killer moves. Soon, a portion of the ship turned dim as the white color turned to gray. It floated in the sky. Next, it vanished into thin air after intense winds swept it away. Myriad-year flying warship was like an injured flying fish. It dived downwards, almost crashing to the ground. Follow it. This ship will break with 3 more rounds of attacks. Fang Yuan must die. If we cannot obtain it, we will destroy the sovereign immortal aperture along with him. We cannot let others benefit from this. The 3 forces made similar decisions as they ordered. Boom! Myriad-year flying warship dived down underground like a white meteor as dust clouds rumbled. Earth shook, but it could not scare off the pursuers. They followed the hole that myriad-year flying warship created as they dived in. Bam, bam, bam. Many killer moves continued to land on myriad-year flying warship. Myriad-year flying warship was starting to break apart. It was in a critical state. Ha ha ha. Fang Yuan made a foolish move. This is the underground. Myriad-year flying warship can't move easily while we can hit it with great precision. He can neither go up or down now. Fang Yuan, you demon, you slaughtered innocents and harmed the world. Today you will face retribution. This is all just desserts. Offending us will lead to your pitiful end. The immortals roared in anger, seeing that Fang Yuan was escaping in distress. All of the immortals' morale surged to a peak level. They just needed to put in a bit more effort to see Fang Yuan die right in front of them. Within myriad-year flying warship, Wu Shui was covered in blood. With such intense attacks, myriad-year flying warship could not be repaired in time. Rumble. After the immortals made their preparation, they started to attack again with a new wave of moves. Countless killer moves were unleashed with some distance between them, trying to avoid nullifying each other. The terrifying wave of attacks swept towards myriad-year flying warship layer by layer. Die. Bam.At the moment of life and death, myriad-year flying warship crashed into the rock in front and barged into a huge underground space. Myriad-year flying warship had room to maneuver. It dodged most of the killer moves and escaped destruction. It was like a drowning person suddenly breathing in some air. What happened? We entered Earth Abyss. Is this Fang Yuan's intention? Chase him. We cannot let him escape. The immortals were stunned before charging through the rocks, arriving in the underground space that it turned out that while Spectral Soul chased Fang Yuan, they went towards the southeast from Sorrowful Wind mountain range. Demon Immortal Qi Ju came from the east. He cooperated with Spectral Soul to force Fang Yuan to go southwest. Finally, because Fairy Zi Wei and the rest came from the south, Fang Yuan had to go west in the end. After traveling west for some time, they arrived in Ancient Soul Sect's territory. Ancient Soul Sect was one of the 10 great ancient sects. It had a long history. One of Ancient Soul Sect's territories was a huge underground abyss. The underground abyss was at least hundreds of thousands of square kilometers in size. The space was extremely large, and the underground world was deep and secluded. There were all sorts of caves and tunnels. Some were like labyrinths. Some had giant underground lakes, while some had flat ground. Countless life forms lived here. In Fang Yuan's previous life, endless beast tides emerged from Earth Abyss, attacking the surface and bringing disaster to Central Continent. Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects spent several years before they were finally able to eradicate the beast tide from the surface. Afterwards, both righteous and demonic path Gu masters and Gu immortals moved together to explore Earth Abyss. In the end, they found that this Earth Abyss was unfathomably deep. It had layers after layers. By the time Fang Yuan used Spring-Autumn Cicada, they had already discovered 107 underground layers. It was impossible to estimate how many layers were still left. The environment here is complex. There are many life forms. The lower we go, the more immemorial desolate beasts there are. This is the best place to escape to. Wu Shui, who was within myriad-year flying warship, realized at once. Using Earth Abyss, myriad-year flying warship situation started to improve, but Spectral Soul and the rest also understood Fang Yuan's scheme. Many Gu immortals stopped attacking with their full strength. They were wary against each other, but after getting so far, nobody wanted to give up. Fang Yuan's circumstances were dangerous. Even though myriad-year flying warship was not taking as much damage as before, it was still slipping towards the abyss of destruction. Fang Yuan and Wu Shuai cooperated. They planned to the best of their ability, using the terrain, but still could not shrug off these pursuers. The only difference was that these pursuers were now grouped into different categories. The first and closest person to myriad-year flying warship was Spectral Soul, followed by Qi Ancestor, Demon Immortal Qi Ju, and Qing Chou. The final group was Heavenly Court, Longevity Heaven, Shadow Sects Fairy Ziwei, and the rest. Boom! Myriad-year flying warship, which was about to be destroyed, charged through the rocks again as it went to a lower layer. Countless bats flew and escaped in panic.In this layer. There were countless bats living around. It was like a huge black tide that had no end in sight. Ordinary bats were turned into pulp by myriad-year flying warship, while alerted immemorial black bats attacked while moving against the tide.In this layer. Black bats were the absolute rulers, because myriad-year flying warship disturbed them. They were going to punish this daring invader. Oh. Spectral Soul followed closely behind. He saw the endless black bats. He became joyful and surprised. Fang Yuan, even heaven is not helping you. It seems that this layer will be the place you die. Spectral Soul suddenly howled. The howling sound spread out. Innumerable black bats died. Even ancient black bats were not spared. Only immemorial black bats survived. They tried to move with difficulty in the air. Once Spectral Soul's howling ended, countless bat souls appeared from these bat corpses. These souls quickly fused with his voice as black smoke enveloped myriad-year flying warship from all directions. Myriad-year flying warship quickly disintegrated from the invasion of the black smoke. It could not hold on anymore. Retrieve the core immortal goo. We will abandon ship. Fang Yuan's main body ordered. Like how they sacrificed Dragon Palace earlier, they took back the core immortal goo with all their effort at the end. Dragon Palace's core immortal goo dream token was already successfully retrieved, but this was a dangerous move. When immortal goo houses face destruction, the goo immortal retrieving the core immortal goo could only do their best and leave the rest to chance. There could even be times when they were too hasty to take out the core immortal goo, causing it to be severely damaged instead, eventually resulting in the immortal goo's destruction. The next moment, myriad-year flying warship broke apart entirely. Fang Yuan and Wu Shuai got exposed to the black smoke. He's here. I will block him. Wu Shuai stood before Fang Yuan. I said this before. Your struggles are futile. Spectral Soul approached as he spoke in an icy tone. Qi Ancestor and the rest had just arrived with the rest. He saw the overwhelming black smoke that shattered the silver-white light. Spectral Soul was attacking Fang Yuan's main body. No. Qi Ancestor could not help them from this distance. He could only shout out in his mind, the moment before death. Fang Yuan suddenly smiled. You fell for my trap, Spectral Soul. Chapter 2047, Carelessness. When Fairy Ziwei and the rest arrived, they could only see an endless stream of black bats in this layer of the underground abyss. Black bats were the sole rulers of all the living beings. Right now, they felt provoked. They went into madness and rage. Immemorial black bats commanded ancient black bats, while ancient black bats commanded desolate beast black bats. These desolate beast black bats controlled the countless ordinary bats. When Shadow Sect, Longevity Heaven, and Heavenly Court arrived, the furious black bats poured their anger that had nowhere to be vented at these three parties. Even though the three parties contained the strongest goo immortals in the current world, they could not help but freeze in their steps. Why are there so many black bats? We need to kill the immemorial black bats to get rid of these beasts. There are too many of them. These black bats are simply endless. We cannot waste time here. Our primary goal is still Fang Yuan. The three groups charged into the black bat groups. They tried to move in this dangerous environment. All of the goo immortals were top-tier rank 8 goo immortals in the current world. Even though there were countless bats, they were still unable to match the immortals in actual combat. But by the time the immortals got out of the bat groups, they could not see myriad-year flying warship, Spectral Soul, Qing Chou, or others. What happened? Where are they? There are no clues left behind at all. This is impossible. We chased them according to the traces left behind from their fight. The immortals were shocked and uncertain. Calamity Luck Altar burst out with golden radiance, melting the surrounding bats. A huge space was created immediately. From within Calamity Luck Altar, Bing Sai Chuan's impatient voice resounded. Fairy Ziwei, tell me, where is Fang Yuan? Old man Zheng Yuan snorted coldly. Why would we know? Qin Dingling sneered. Shadow Sect, do you really think we are ignorant of your tricks? You waited and did not chase them. Wasn't it because you were trying to disrupt us? Qin Dingling spoke in a sharp tone. It seemed like she was sowing discord, but it sounded like the truth. Shadow Sect got into a predicament immediately. Fang Yuan, Spectral Soul, Qing Chou, Qi Si, and Qi Ju all vanished. It was just too strange. The three forces chasing them became extremely anxious. Fairy Ziwei was also frowning deeply as she said, "We have lost contact with our master. I believe that other forces have interfered. The important thing is to find them now. If we fight among ourselves, this external force will succeed in their goal." Bing Sai Chuan spoke in an icy tone, not concealing his killing intent. "Then show me the capabilities of a wisdom path great expert." "Humph, just you watch," Fairy Ziwei said as she started to activate her killer move, making deductions rapidly. Qin Dingling did not speak, but her killing intent was not concealed either. If she found any tricks from Shadow Sect, Heavenly Court would definitely attack them immediately. Creak, creak. The surrounding black bats approached again. The Gu Immortals hesitated for a moment before quickly attacking and resisting the black bats for Fairy Ziwei. Fairy Ziwei's body was shining in a purple-gold light. Aurora spread out constantly. Fairy Ziwei's expression turned increasingly pale. Immortal essence was expended rapidly until her body started shivering. Afterwards, she opened her eyes. Purple light filling her pupils. The purple-gold light faded away. Fairy Ziwei's pupils returned to normal. Her aura was significantly weaker now. It was clear that she had done her best in the deduction. Under everyone's supervision, she let out a breath of air. I deduced it. A battlefield killer move enveloped all of them, causing us to not sense them anywhere. Battlefield killer move? Who is ambushing them here? Humph, do you have evidence? Fairy Ziwei sneered. As a wisdom path great expert, she would naturally not end up empty-handed. She immediately split the bat groups apart as she directed the immortals to a trace of earth path aura that was about to dissipate. After sensing the aura, the immortals started to analyze it. It is an earth path killer move indeed. It really seems like a battlefield killer move. Watch me, I will find it. A certain Gu immortal of Heavenly Court made his move. He was very confident at the start, but soon, he returned without any progress. Soon, this trace of earth path aura dissipated. Only the bat groups remained to fight against the three groups of immortals. The immortals' expressions were very ugly. Some were still suspicious about Shadow Sect. Some were thinking about ways to find the enclosed immortal battlefield. Some were forced to fight against the black bats. Longevity Heaven's Bing Sai Chuan still held some suspicions. Fairy Ziwei had the heaviest mood. She dealt with the black bats as she asked Heavenly Court. You should be most familiar with this earth path aura. Heavenly Court, what do you think? Qin Dingling was silent for a moment before she said, Indeed, this resembles Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable's method. We have the same idea now, to find this immortal battlefield and destroy it. So it is Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable's force, no wonder. Bing Sai Chuan realized at once that in history, among the 10 venerables, Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable was the most skilled at using immortal battlefield killer moves. His capability in this aspect was publicly known as the #1 among venerables. Right now, the reincarnation battlefield that he created was still existing in Central Continent. Owned by the 10 great ancient sections, why did Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable's force take action? None of the immortals here were surprised. Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable and Spectral Soul Demon Venerable were on opposite sides. Everyone knew that. Back then, Spectral Soul slaughtered everyone in his way, causing great terror and chaos. All of the people in the 5 regions lived in fear. The righteous path was weak, while the demonic path surged. Ever since Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable started cultivation, he worked hard to turn this trend around. He restored peace to the world and suppressed the demonic path. he brought fortune to the world. Because of the ideologies of Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable and Spectral Soul Demon Venerable, they had always conflicted. To find Paradise Earth's battlefield and destroy it. The difficulty is just. Bing Sai Chuan shook his head. Even an expert like him hesitated and felt troubled. Why? Would Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable's force take action? And why would they wait here in ambush? A Gu Immortal asked. This question made Fairy Z Wei's mood even heavier. A dark cloud loomed over her, shrouding her face. It must be Fang Yuan. Even though there was no evidence, Fairy Z Wei still said that with great confidence. She had fought against Fang Yuan too many times. She was basically the loser each time. This feeling of defeat was too common to Fairy Z Wei. She had experienced it countless times. Each time she thought that victory was close, Fang Yuan would turn the situation around. This current situation was also the same. Fairy Z Wei felt very familiar with it. Qin Dingling agreed with Fairy Z Wei's deduction. We chased after Fang Yuan, but from another perspective, he was leading us here. While chasing and escaping, this route was planned by Fang Yuan. If he cooperated with Paradise Earth's force and created this situation, it is indeed the easiest way. But why would Paradise Earth's force cooperate with a demon like Fang Yuan? We have not seen it ourselves. Is this really Paradise Earth's force? Or rather, which force under Paradise Earth is it? Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable was the closest venerable to the current era. He naturally left behind the highest number of forces. Different from other venerables, Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable had never intentionally focused on developing any single force. Heavenly Court had Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, and Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable. It was developed by the three of them through painstaking effort. Longevity Heaven was Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's Grotto Heaven. It was the foundation that he had left behind. Shadow Sect was operated by Spectral Souls Split Souls for many years. It used Zombie Alliance as the front to slowly accumulate influence and strength. Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable was different. He helped and assisted many different forces. For example, the Merman Imperial Court in Eastern Sea. It was because he did not want to see the merfolk get bullied. There was also Southern Borders Mushroom Man Paradise. It was made because he did not want to see the Mushroom Men get slaughtered mercilessly. Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable had the ability to turn an immortal aperture into a paradise. He helped many Gu immortals in his life. He altered many grotto heavens and blessed lands. He even helped to enlighten many legendary immemorial beasts, for example, the Blue Dragon Whale. Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable did not just help humans, he also helped variant humans or even other living beings that were in need. Thus, he was the most loved venerable and also the most merciful. Even though Heavenly Court's Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable also helped out countless living beings, he was mostly focused on helping nature and repairing habitats. The other venerables all had offensive methods, but only Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable did not. Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable had also left behind his true inheritances in various places. Southern Borders Mushroom Man Paradise was one of them. Thus, their leader, Southern Borders Gu Immortal Lu Weiyin, was also called Paradise Earth's inheritor. Nobody could refute it. Before the Fate War, Fairy Z Wei even went to the Mushroom Man Paradise and borrowed Benevolence Gu. All the immortals could not think of an answer now. Because of Paradise Earth's actions, many forces and Gu immortals were related to him in some way. There was no way of knowing which force it was exactly. Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable focused on removing Spectral Soul's influence his entire life. He was a merciful and benevolent person who brought peace. Would his force cooperate with a demon like Fang Yuan? It is not impossible. Didn't Heavenly Court cooperate with me temporarily as well? Fairy Z Wei's heart was filled with a solemn emotion. The more she thought, the worse she found the situation. The reason why Heavenly Court worked with Shadow Sect was so that Fang Yuan and Spectral Soul would fight each other. It would be great if these two demons were killed at the same time. If Paradise Earth's force and Fang Yuan cooperated while having such thoughts, why would it be impossible? With Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable's status and nature, he would not do something like laying an ambush. But the Immortal Venerable had died already. Nobody knew the temperament of the force that he left behind, or even his inheritor. This situation must have surpassed Master's expectations. But there can be a worse situation. That is, Fang Yuan planned all of this. He gave up on Dragon Palace and myriad-year flying worship just so he could lure Master into this battlefield. No matter what the truth is, I need to do my best to save Master. Fairy Ziwei sensed something amiss. She was very anxious. As a wisdom path grade expert, any changes in her emotions needed to be assigned great importance. Spectral Soul had an advantage against Fang Yuan, of course, but against another Venerable's force, it would not be so certain. And most importantly, this was the Venerable who purposely went against Spectral Soul in history, Paradise Earth. At the same time, in the Earth Path battlefield, Spectral Soul looked at the surrounding sand. His expression turned cold as ice. Good, very good. So you are Lu Wei-yin, the current generation inheritor of Paradise Earth. A Gu immortal stepped on a yellow cloud. He cupped his fists at Spectral Soul. Lord Demon Venerable is very perceptive. I have been waiting here for a long time. At the side, Fang Yuan urged, Lu Wei-yin, I lured him here already. Don't expect me to take action now. Show me your sincerity. Ugh. Fang Yuan suddenly stopped speaking as he retreated rapidly. It was too late. In an instant, Spectral Soul suddenly arrived in front of him using an unknown method. Fang Yuan, you are too careless. It is a pity you got this far, but go and die now. Spectral Soul stretched out his hand as he grabbed Fang Yuan's neck. Fang Yuan stared with eyes wide open. He could not break free. Chapter 2048, Illusory Sand Shifting Shadow. Spectral Soul was indeed the demon venerable who killed his way to the top. Any other person would be wary at the first moment and defend against an assault. But he had abundant battle experience. After falling into a trap, he made perfect use of an opportunity to attack instantly. Undoubtedly, he chose a great timing. Fang Yuan was pursued by 3 parties. The pressure was huge. After getting into this safe area, it was not strange that he would relax his mind. Spectral Soul distracted him with words while preparing his killer move. This move had no aura or commotion. Only Wu Yong in the current 5 regions could match him in this aspect. Once used, Spectral Soul turned the situation around. He grabbed Fang Yuan's neck tightly. Spectral Soul's move was also extraordinary. It was called Soul Shattering Hand. This move could only be used at an extremely close range. It was a close combat method. In Gu Immortal battles, close combat was rare. Most engaged in long-distance combat. Only few paths like Transformation Path or Strength Path would focus on hand-to-hand combat. Soul Shattering Hand had an extremely close range. It was very limited in usage, but Spectral Soul still held on to it without discarding it. The reason was because this move had incredible power. Once it struck the enemy, it could easily decide the victor of the battle. The next moment, Soul Shattering Hand activated. A smile appeared on Fang Yuan's face again, while Spectral Soul's expression turned grim. The Fang Yuan in his hand quickly turned into sand and scattered with the wind. It was actually a puppet made of sand. As yellow sand flew in the air, Fang Yuan's voice could be heard as he praised. Spectacular indeed. Lu Wei-yin, your effort and time spent to specially create this illusory sand shifting shadow battlefield was not in vain. Fang Yuan did not conceal his voice. Spectral Soul snorted coldly as he looked for traces, flying past the sand and arriving in front of Fang Yuan. Spectral Soul attacked again, while Fang Yuan did not dodge the next moment. Fang Yuan scattered into countless sand specks again. It was a rare sight as Spectral Soul finally frowned this time. Lu Wei-yin's voice was transmitted. Fang Yuan, you are too kind. The truth is, friend, Spectral Soul is too strong. I had to set up my strongest battlefield killer move. I won't hide it. Even though this battlefield originated from Paradise Earth's true inheritance, it has been modified by many generations. It has many changes done to it. The sand puppet double earlier can deceive the enemy's senses and lure away firepower. Lu Wei-yin, do you want to lose your southern border Mushroom Man paradise? To think my shadow sect let you off purposely back then. Spectral Soul called out coldly. He stared at Lu Wei-yin's sand puppet fixedly. He knew that Lu Wei-yin purposely spoke to target his morale, to exert mental pressure on him. In a battle between experts, every word was a contest. Especially against Information Path Gu Immortals. Every word they said was sharp like a blade or spear. The enemies could not be lax against them. Fang Yuan ignored Spectral Soul and continued to speak with Lu Weiyin. Even though I used up 2 immortal goo houses to lower this old monster's wariness, this battlefield killer move has such power, it was not a waste. Now, it will depend on you. Lu Weiyin knew about Fang Yuan's tribulation. In fact, the heavenly mark killer move that Fang Yuan had was also given to him by Lu Weiyin. As a matter of fact, Fang Yuan did not trust Lu Weiyin. His original destination was not Earth Abyss, but Crazed Demon Cave instead. Fang Yuan did not know a lot about Lu Weiyin's background. There was nothing much about him in the 500 years of memories either. Right now, not only was Spectral Soul stuck in the illusory, sand-shifting shadow battlefield, Fang Yuan was the same. Fang Yuan's 2 immortal goo houses, Dragon Palace and Myriad-Year Flying Warship, were also destroyed. He lost many goo worms. Even the few core immortal goo that he retrieved were all injured. Spectral Soul snickered. Fang Yuan, hide well. Maybe Lu Weiyin will let you out? But it is not a problem. Paradise Earth died long ago. His Earth Path battlefield cannot trap me for long. Once I decipher this place, it will be your time to die. Lu Weiyin did not answer. He activated the battlefield. From the yellow sand flying around Spectral Soul, a figure flew out. It was Fang Yuan's Qi-Si clone. Qi-Si ancestor saw Spectral Soul and got stunned. It was as if he had just charged through the sandstorm and did not expect to see Spectral Soul here. But at the next moment, Qi-Si ancestor made his move, unleashing Qi path methods on Spectral Soul. Spectral Soul snorted coldly. He blocked the attacks and wanted to retaliate, but saw that Qi-Si ancestor got enveloped by the sandstorm, vanishing into thin air. Spectral Soul immediately chased. He went into the yellow sand, but he could not see any sign of Qi-Si ancestor. Another figure approached. It was Demon Immortal Qi-Ju. Spectral Soul was about to speak when he saw that Demon Immortal Qi-Ju's expression was strange. He became wary. As expected, Demon Immortal Qi-Ju attacked him at the next moment. Spectral Soul resisted as he called out, "Qi-Ju, what are you doing?" Demon Immortal Qi-Ju snickered. "Qi-Si ancestor, since you provoked me, I will show you the true power of Qi path." After hearing this, Spectral Soul became stunned. He thought, "Don't tell me this Earth Path battlefield has another ability to confuse enemies?" Since Spectral Soul could perceive the sand puppet as Fang Yuan without realizing so, it was not strange that Demon Immortal Qi-Ju would get deceived and mistake him for Qi-Si ancestor. Spectral Soul and Demon Immortal Qi-Ju fought for over 10 rounds. Demon Immortal Qi-Ju suffered injuries as he got devoured by the sandstorm again. Next was Qingqiu. "Spectral Soul, I want you dead. I want you dead." Qingqiu was still insane. The rank 9 aura on its body was extremely dense. Spectral Soul's heart jumped upon sensing it. Like this, at times he fought Qi-Si ancestor, at times he fought Demon Immortal Qi-Ju. Sometimes, he even faced the legendary immemorial desolate beast Qingqiu. They started to appear and disappear in the sandstorm, engaging with Spectral Soul while taking turns. Spectral Soul had outstanding battle strength, far beyond them individually, but whenever he gained some advantage, Lu Weiyin, who controlled the battlefield, would swap opponents and leave Spectral Soul helpless. Even after several rounds of attacks, Spectral Soul could not break free from the yellow sand. He could only fight them. Far away in the battlefield, Fang Yuan was focusing on his tribulation. Wu Shuai guarded him with a vigilant expression. All around him, countless army ants gathered into a hollow ball, shielding him and Fang Yuan from the outside. Within the sovereign immortal aperture, the myriad tribulation had already turned into a torrential flood. Water levels rose, engulfing 10,000 li of land. Fang Yuan's 5 regions were all affected. A large number of small-sized resource points were completely destroyed. Many central continents, Spirit Spring Forest, many northern Plains Bone Burial Field, Contact Heart River Bank, many western deserts, Eerie Fire Dragon Python, Sand Gull Soil Beach, many southern borders become Dragon Mound, Heaven Sealing Mountain, and many eastern seas Jade Root Lake were all heavily damaged. As for the few resource points that Fang Yuan defended heavily, they also met with a huge impact. Fang Yuan's losses were severe. There was no helping it. He had done his best. The good thing was that his hard work and sacrifices were not in vain. He had already refined more than 20 heaven path down marks against the initial myriad tribulation, myriad destruction lightning forest. Fang Yuan came up with a countermeasure after great effort. Due to heaven's will's manipulation, the heaven path down marks immediately changed the tribulation, causing Fang Yuan's previous method to become ineffective. If this happened to most Gu immortals in the current world, it would lead to despair. But for Fang Yuan, each time the myriad tribulation transformed, it was a great opportunity for him, because he had the killer move exposing heavenly secret. Exposing heavenly secret allowed Fang Yuan to accurately predict what the next tribulation was. Even though he could not prepare for it amply, it was still an opportunity he could use. After all, the greatest problem and danger of tribulations was that they could not be predicted. Once they were known beforehand, their threat level would fall by many times. Of course, even if myriad tribulations could be predicted, they were still myriad tribulations. Thus, the sovereign immortal aperture flooded and countless resources were destroyed. Fang Yuan's losses were huge, but it was not a bad thing entirely. The myriad tribulations' power continued to fall, because the essence of the heavenly Tao was to maintain balance. The more losses Fang Yuan suffered, the weaker the tribulation would be, even if heaven's will was here. It could not defy the natural operations of the heavenly Tao. More and more heaven path Tao marks were refined by Fang Yuan. His speed of refinement was getting faster and faster. The first step was the hardest. Fang Yuan sacrificed all of his soul beasts to create an opportunity in this biggest predicament of his life, that he succeeded. Despite the myriad tribulations rampage, Fang Yuan already managed to regain his footing. He was slowly turning the situation around. Spectral Soul fell into a tough battle. Lu Wei-yin controlled the illusory sand-shifting shadow battlefield, causing him to be in an extremely passive spot. A Qi-Si ancestor, demon immortal Qi-Ju, Qing Chou, and even Lu Wei-yin could attack Spectral Soul at the same time. Qing Chou was overcome by rage. It was once used by Spectral Soul, but in here, Lu Wei-yin could relocate it easily. Spectral Soul had no opportunities to do so. As intense winds blew, a sandstorm brewed. Suddenly, all of the sand gathered into rocks. They flew around in their own vortexes. Instantly, countless flying rocks enveloped Spectral Soul. Spectral Soul waved his hand as smoke flew out. Some of the flying rocks melted in the black smoke, but most of them pierced through it and shot towards Spectral Soul. Spectral Soul's figure suddenly vanished. When he reappeared, he was already at the other end of the battlefield. He dodged almost all of the flying rocks. But after these flying rocks flew into the sandstorm, they turned back into sand. After that, the sand turned back into yellowish flying rocks that shot towards Spectral Soul. This move is called flying sand turning rocks. Please evaluate it, Lord Spectral Soul. Lu Wei-yin's voice resounded from within. Child's play. Spectral Soul howled as his body shook. Black smoke rumbled with him as the center, spreading towards the surroundings with rapid speed. Spin. As Spectral Soul vanished within the black smoke, he shouted again, the next moment. The black smoke turned into a vortex that started to rotate. Spectral Soul was at the center. He released black smoke while simultaneously absorbing it as the flying rocks flew into the black smoke. They corroded into sand before the black smoke swept them into Spectral Soul's immortal aperture. Seeing this countermeasure, Lu Wei-yin praised. Brilliant, as expected of Lord Spectral Soul. However, I specially chose the location of my battlefield on this earth vein. No matter how many flying rocks you absorb, this battlefield can draw more earth chi from the earth vein as replenishment. Thus, unless you can deplete the entire earth vein, these flying rocks are endless. These words did not affect Spectral Soul. The former demon venerable sneered with deep killing intent. Lu Wei-yin, did you think this move only countered your flying sand-turning rocks? Oh no. Lu Wei-yin's expression changed. There was no time to react. The next moment, all of the flying sand in the sky fell to the ground. A portion of the illusory, sand-shifting shadow battlefield was corroded by the black smoke. It returned to being a flat yellowish landscape. Shifting sand illusion was actually broken so quickly. Lu Wei-yin's expression was ugly. Spectral Soul hid his true move deeply. He seemed to be dealing with the killer move, flying sand turning rocks. but his real target was shifting sand illusion. Now that this move was broken, there were no longer any sand puppets left. Demon immortal Qi Ju broke out of the illusion, while Fang Yuan's real location was exposed. Fang Yuan, how long are you going to hide for? Spectral soul flew towards Fang Yuan without hesitation. Wu Shuai fought to resist him, but the defense of the army ants became torn apart instantly by spectral soul. A black soul ball shot out. After a few breaths of time, it reached Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan remained seated on the ground. He opened his eyes as he smiled lightly. I don't need to dodge. Rumble! An immortal goo house suddenly appeared, shielding Wu Shuai and Fang Yuan. The black soul ball landed on the immortal goo house, erupting with immense might. However, this immortal goo house remained still like a mountain. It did not move. You still have an immortal goo house. At this moment, Spectral Soul's pupils shrank. He frowned deeply. Chapter 2049, Spectral Soul's Anxiety. An immortal goo house suddenly appeared in the battlefield. The IT was like a mountain, but it was not tall. There were clear layers on this mountain from the bottom to the top. It was smooth on the surface, so it resembled a tower made of dozens of giant drums. This immortal goo house was yellowish-brown. There was also a misty layer of sand covering its surface, giving it a strong feeling of sturdiness and peace. Rank 8 Immortal Goo House. Peaceful Soil, Heavy Mountain Fortress. This Earth Path Immortal Goo House was obtained when Fang Yuan explored the Dream Realm. It was different from most immortal goo houses in essence, because this immortal goo house did not have any core immortal goo. Its core was made of immortal killer moves. Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress had 3 core killer moves. The most important one was Accumulated Soil Mountain. This move was very special. It did not have a fence, movement, healing, or other aspects. Using this killer move, the Goo Immortal could stack Earth Path Goo worms to allow them to form an immortal goo house. This could be done even if the Goo Immortal using the killer move had 0 attainment in formation path itself. Gaining this killer move was also the same as gaining the foundation of the immortal goo house. Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress. Thus, every Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress had a different appearance. In fact, even for the same Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress, because the Earth Path Goo worms used were different, they could gain various forms and abilities. Fang Yuan had created this Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress for some time already. He obtained the complete blueprint from the Dream Realm. He also gained a large number of Earth Path Immortal Goo from the Blue Dragon Whale. The truth was, he had already obtained this rank 8 Immortal Goo House before the Fate War. Right now, Fang Yuan took out this Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress to change the situation. Spectral Soul's assault did not work on Fang Yuan. Lu Weiyin, Qing Chou, and the rest could force him to divert his target to them. I thought Fang Yuan was lying earlier to put up a front. I thought he was forced to abandon Myriad Year Flying Warship and Dragon Palace. Now it seems, he intentionally lured me into this trap. Spectral Soul's heart sank a little. The truth was, Fang Yuan's act of giving up the 2 immortal goo houses did lower his wariness. After all, without Myriad Year Flying Warship or Dragon Palace, Fang Yuan really seemed like he was at his wits' end to think that he had such a trump card. Lu Weiyin also felt surprised, thinking to himself, Fang Yuan was willing to pay such a huge price to lure Spectral Soul here. Is this a form of trust? Or is he testing our first cooperation? The truth was, Fang Yuan had no other choice. Even though he had been keeping this Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress a secret, it had one huge drawback. Its speed was too slow. If there was a list of fastest to slowest immortal goo houses, this Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress would definitely rank at the bottom without doubt. Honestly speaking, Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress was the tortoise among immortal goo houses. Its speed was only superior to immortal formations. It was simply helpless. But such weaknesses came with great advantages. Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress had an incredibly powerful defense instead. If Spectral Soul or Lu Weiyin knew about Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress weakness, they would understand Fang Yuan's plight. If he took out Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress earlier in the battle, he would not be able to get far. He would only be a target board, attacked by everyone. Even though Fang Yuan would have some temporary safety, the other forces could mobilize their people and gather to kill Fang Yuan together. Thus, he could not stay at one spot. This was Central Continent, Heavenly Court's territory. Even though Heavenly Court was weak now, it was still governing the 10 great ancient sects. But here, when Fang Yuan used Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress, the effect was completely different. Spectral Soul had to defend against the attacks of Lu Wei-yin, Qi-Si, Ancestor, and the rest. He did not forget to attack Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress in the meantime. But Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress remained unmovable. It was a true fortress. Even someone like Spectral Soul started to be emotionally affected. His main target was Fang Yuan from the start, but to get to him, he would have to destroy this immortal goo house. This huge obstacle was causing Spectral Soul to feel anxious internally that if Spectral Soul ignored Fang Yuan and dealt with the enemies in this battlefield, Fang Yuan would gain more time to recuperate. This was something Spectral Soul did not want to see. During the intense battle, Spectral Soul looked towards Qing Chou, thinking of using it to create an opening. But Lu Wei-yin sensed it quickly. Once Spectral Soul showed signs of targeting Qing Chou, he would use the battlefield killer move to teleport Qing Chou away. Qing Chou only targeted its greatest enemy, Spectral Soul. It knew that Lu Wei-yin was trying to help it instead of Spectral Soul. It would not attack him abruptly. Spectral Soul's plans were thwarted in advance. He transmitted to Demon Immortal Qi-Ju. Qi-Ju, focus on destroying this immortal goo house. I will definitely satisfy you with the reward. Demon Immortal Qi-Ju hesitated. Spectral Soul, you have higher battle strength than me. If you can't succeed, how can I? Spectral Soul snorted coldly. Who says I can't do it? It will merely take some effort. We lack cooperation. The best move now is for me to deal with these enemies and the battlefield while you target Fang Yuan. You have the secluded domain of heaven and earth. As long as you pay some price, how hard can it be to destroy the immortal goo house? Spectral Soul's main target was Fang Yuan, but now he had to look away from his target. Firstly, this immortal goo house had high defense. Destroying it was too troublesome. Secondly, Spectral Soul and Qi-Ju were just working together. Their relationship was quite shallow. Qi-Ju was not reliable at all. Asking him to attack was guarding against him. If anything happened, Spectral Soul could still break out of the battlefield. It was a relatively safer option. Spectral Soul had the strongest killing nature throughout history, but he was not a fool who lacked wisdom or logic. He was not overwhelmed by his desire to kill. Demon Immortal Qi-Ju also did not want to be trapped in this battlefield. He did not doubt Spectral Soul's decision to destroy the battlefield. He thought about it for a while, before laughing. My Shi land can break this Earth Path immortal goo house, but the price is very steep. After all, I cultivate Qi Path and not Earth Path. After I succeed, it is likely that my Shi land will be destroyed. But this deal is not impossible. It will depend on you, Spectral Soul. What price can you pay me to make such a huge sacrifice? What? You think I can't afford it? Spectral Soul asked. You are a venerable. You have immense foundation. I am quite looking forward to it. But until now, the true inheritances that you gave me are high in quantity, but lack quality. I am quite disappointed. You mean to say, only venerable inheritances are good enough for you? Of course. Demon Immortal Qi-Ju spoke openly. Only venerable true inheritances are of value to me. In fact, I am interested in your true inheritance too. Demon Immortal Qi-Ju was an old demon. In this situation, he actually wanted to extort Spectral Soul's soul path true inheritance. This was a really shameless thing to do. Spectral Soul was not willing to take this loss. He replied firmly, Qi-Ju, don't forget about our goal. If you do not put in effort now, how can you kill Fang Yuan? We might both get trapped in this battlefield, ending up as their prey. Demon Immortal Qi-Ju became silent. The situation was quite tense now. This Earth Path battlefield had unfathomable depths. He had not understood it completely yet. Demon Immortal Qi-Ju was merely testing him earlier. Seeing that Spectral Soul was firm in his stance, he decided to work together and get over this hurdle first. Even though Spectral Soul broke one layer of the Earth Path battlefield, the combination of Lu Wei-yin, Qing Chou, and Qi-Si Ancestor still placed a huge pressure on him. Even though Demon Immortal Qi-Ju countered Qi-Si Ancestor entirely, due to Lu Wei-yin's control, Qi-Si Ancestor did not fight against Demon Immortal Qi-Ju. Qingqiu was actually quite useful here. This beast fought without regard for its life. It created huge problems for demon immortal Qiju. Battlefield killer moves were hard to set up, but usually, after they were activated, the Gu immortal would gain a huge advantage in the domain. Enslavement path and formation path could allow one to fight against many enemies. It was because these two paths could allow one to gain huge strength if used well.As for this illusory, sand-shifting shadow. Battlefield, it was created by Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable, modified by generations of inheritors. It was very threatening. Furthermore, this battlefield was created in Earth Abyss, combined with the Earth Vein. It had an unceasing amount of Earth Qi, spectral soul, and Qi Ju were troubled. Within the sovereign immortal aperture, the myriad tribulation was still continuing. The myriad tribulation changed again. It was a flood earlier. Now it turned into a blazing flame, raising everything to the ground and creating huge heat waves. I have already refined more than 50 heaven path Dao marks. Fang Yuan made some new progress. Each time the myriad tribulation changed, it created danger for him. But danger was accompanied by opportunity. Chapter 2050. How do we fight this? Along with his gains, Fang Yuan also paid a hefty price. Mini southern border, which was the most prosperous of the 5 mini regions, was half devastated. Immortal Succession Mountain was destroyed, washed away entirely by the flood. This mountain was a mid-sized resource point obtained from Fang Grotto Heaven. It once had the ability to help mortals ascend to immortal. There was also Heaven Sealing Mountain. This mountain was created by Fang Yuan. It was small and unassuming. Within the mountain itself, Fang Yuan had once set up a formation to seal his strength path immortal zombie body. Other than them, there were also up to 100 mountains and valleys. The greatest losses were Interior Rain Mountain, Copper Seal Mountain, and Bonebird Peak. Interior Rain Mountain's peak was always shrouded by a layer of dark clouds from where light rain continued to fall. The drizzling rain was not ordinary rainwater, but rank 6 immortal material interior rain. This was a resource point that produced water path immortal materials. Now it was in ruins. Copper Seal Mountain was no longer whole. It used to have a red and squarish shape. It was like a large seal was standing upright in mini southern border. This mountain did not have even a trace of soil. It was completely formed from all kinds of copper. There was mortal level copper like chaotic sky copper, pragna copper, snowflower copper, and so on, and immortal copper like profound gray copper and ascending dragon copper. Copper Seal Mountain was so special, it was heavily targeted by the myriad tribulation myriad destruction lightning forest. Now, half of the mountain was destroyed and charred, giving out dense smoke and sparks. The entire mountain had turned into a molten state. It emitted a terrible smell. This mountain once produced domination copper. That was a rank 7 immortal material. It was a pity that the tribulation struck. It could no longer produce any .As for Bonebird Peak. It used to have a large number of flower-wing white bone birds, filled with vitality. Now, the entire mountain had collapsed too. All of the flower-wing white bone birds died from the lightning bolts. Lightning bolts destroyed mountains. Floods destroyed forests. Fang Yuan had originally obtained a large amount of musical trees from Fang Grotto Heaven. He created many southern borders primitive forest using them. After this myriad tribulation, what forest could survive? Not to mention the beautiful Qi death birds or the fragrant tea streams. Many southern border was almost completely devastated. Only several areas were heavily protected by Fang Yuan. Among them were the coiling thread caves, stalactite caves, and the dark inkstone mines. These resource points were all underground. It was easier to preserve them. Furthermore, the rockmen lived in these places. Firebird Mountain was an exception because it was quite isolated. It escaped this disaster. This mid-sized resource point had fire path birds of all kinds growing in it. At the top of the volcano were fire phoenixes that were suppressed by the formation. The sunset parasol trees on the mountain absorbed lava as nutrients to grow. Branches extended as leaves grew. They gave out the beautiful light of the setting sun. It was an amazing sight to behold. Other than mini southern border, the other 4 mini regions were also affected to some extent. Mini northern plain shallow rock beach was obtained from annexing Han Dong blessed land. It was completely washed away by the floods. All of the pinkish red spirit snakes living in it died. Many Western deserts Hound Desert was obtained from Lu Yong Blessed Land. There were more than 20 desolate hounds there. They all died without a corpse remaining. Many Central Continent and many Eastern Sea. Even the many nine heavens were implicated by the myriad tribulation. However, Fang Yuan could not care about it at this point. Myriad tribulations had taken so many rank 8 Gu immortals' lives. In the long history of the world, countless geniuses died primarily from them. If he was careless, even Fang Yuan could lose his life. Fang Yuan not only had to deal with the myriad tribulation, he also had to face the three forces chasing after him. If losing some resources meant that he could improve the situation, why wouldn't Fang Yuan do it? What was more important, his life or these resources? The answer was obvious. Only by staying alive could he have any hope for the future. In fact, even if all of Fang Yuan's resources were destroyed, even if he lost the sovereign immortal body and his clones, as long as he was alive and got through this predicament, as long as he had one breath remaining, he would accept the result, the most important. Feng was an unyielding spirit. How could mere success and failure determine his life? The loss of these resource points is actually helpful to me. The heavenly Tao seeks balance. With these resource points gone, the myriad tribulation has weakened proportionately. Thus, my efficiency in refining the heaven path Tao marks will continue to become higher. Fang Yuan's expression suddenly changed. Rumble, with an intense sound. Peaceful soil heavy mountain fortress shook harshly. Hundreds and thousands of goo worms shattered and died. It was the move that demon immortal Qi Ju had been preparing for a long time. Demon immortal Qi Ju. This old demon who had resisted limitless demon venerable in history. He had vicious methods capable of weakening and damaging peaceful soil, heavy mountain fortress. If he was allowed to continue attacking, he would eventually break through peaceful soil heavy mountain fortress. It was not that Lu Weiyin or the Qi Si clone did not try to stop him, but Spectral Soul's continuous attacks hindered them. Spectral Soul's body surged with black smoke. He attacked and defended at times, unleashing several immemorial soul beasts while using peculiar soul path killer moves. He not only protected Qi Ju, giving him ample time and opportunity to attack, he even probed illusory, sand-shifting shadow battlefield even further. He managed to break another layer of this battlefield. Lu Weiyin, Qing Chou, and the Qi Si clone are attacking Spectral Soul, but he is still having an easy time. This current Spectral Soul is also just his remnant soul. He is still injured and has not reached the peak state he was in during the time he refined sovereign immortal fetus goo. Fang Yuan sighed internally. He could genuinely feel the depth of Spectral Soul's strength. I cannot let this go on. Wu Shuai, go and join the battle. Deal with Spectral Soul. Fang Yuan instructed. In this current situation, Spectral Soul and the other two forces wanted Fang Yuan dead. On the other hand, Lu Weiyin carried on Paradise Earth's will. He wanted to exterminate Spectral Soul. Fang Yuan was the focus, but Spectral Soul was also crucial. Fang Yuan did not feel great external pressure now. His wariness stemmed from Spectral Soul. He did not hesitate to use all his strength against him. Wu Shuai joined the fight. At once, army ants gathered and formed a river of ants. They swept towards Spectral Soul. Spectral Soul split a portion of his concentration and used killer moves. To resist them, Wu Shuai was Fang Yuan's Dragonman clone. He cultivated enslavement path. Even though he had not cultivated for long, he inherited the inheritance of the Dragonman race, as well as the actual Wu Shuai's true inheritance. After several rounds of attacks, Lu Weiyin became hopeful as he thought. Even though Wu Shuai does not attack often, he has rank 8 cultivation level. His battle strength is quite incredible. With him around, we can finally place pressure on Spectral Soul. With him controlling the battlefield, even Qing Chou could join the fight, not to mention Wu Shuai who cooperated with them. Wu Shuai soon mixed in with this group. Their tempo became faster as they emitted greater pressure on Spectral Soul. Spectral Soul was the strongest in the world, but he had not regained his peak strength. Demon Immortal Qi Ju and Qi Si Ancestor could fight him for over 10 rounds even if they could not defeat him. With Wu Shuai's participation, a qualitative change appeared. It tilted the balance of both sides. Lu Weiyin and the rest attacked unceasingly. Their attacks did not stop even once. Spectral Soul started to get into a passive spot as he resisted their joint attacks. Immortal Killer Move. Upper-lower, breathless chi. Demon Immortal Chi Ju stretched out 2 fingers as he pointed at the top and bottom of Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress. At once, Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress became immobilized. Fang Yuan, who was inside, had a change of expression. He could not breathe smoothly. Even worse was that his injection of immortal essence into Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress became choppy and inconsistent. Immortal goo houses required a lot of immortal essence to work. The same applied to Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress. After getting hit by this move, its defenses became much weaker. A huge flaw in Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress became exposed. That it was just too slow. It had to resist most killer moves head-on. Of course, it had immense defense. It could waste a lot of the enemy's immortal essence. Thus, Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress was suited for a battle of attrition. Goo Immortals could heal up inside and analyze the enemy's killer moves while using the defense to waste the enemy's immortal essence. Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress also lacked defensive methods. The truth was, Demon Immortal Chi Ju could ignore Fang Yuan and help Spectral Soul fight against Lu Wei-yin and the rest. Fang Yuan was currently troubled by the myriad tribulation. Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress was of little threat to them in terms of offense. Immortal Killer Move. Soul Explosion. Spectral Soul suddenly turned around. He endured the attacks of Lu Wei-yin and the rest as he pointed with his fingers. More than 10 black dots flew out. The black dots shot towards the top of Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress before turning into more than 10 immemorial soul beasts. These immemorial soul beasts crashed down onto Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress, their mountain-like bodies completely burying the immortal goo house. The next moment, boom! A terrifying explosion killed these immemorial soul beasts on the spot. Their sacrifices resulted in this intense explosion resembling a giant black ball. The black ball rapidly expanded. In a few breaths of time, it grew to over the size of 100 li. The earth and mountains shook. The entire battlefield started to shake intensely. Lu Wei Yin's expression changed. He immediately went away to defend the battlefield. If this battlefield broke, even if one corner of it was destroyed, the entire situation would aggravate. Spectral Soul is so crafty. He actually had such a terrifying move. Demon Immortal Chi Ju squinted, retreating to a safe distance. Soul Explosion is not uncommon. It is expected that he would detonate the immemorial soul beasts. But how could he perfectly fuse the detonation of more than 10 immemorial soul beasts together like this? Oh no, I wonder how our main body is doing. Wu Shuai and Qi Si Ancestor became worried. Roar! Qing Chou was also implicated and got quite injured. The greater the pain, the more maniacal it became. It did not care about anything. It attacked Spectral Soul again. Wu Shuai and Qi Si Ancestor had to follow suit. They could not allow Spectral Soul to absorb Qing Chou's strength. After using this move, Spectral Soul also turned pale. Against Qing Chou's assault, he focused on defense while trying to recover. It was evident that the move earlier consumed a huge amount of his mental energy. In truth, this soul explosion was very costly. Immemorial soul beasts had rank 8 battle strength. Spectral Soul expended more than 10 of them at once. I wonder how Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress is now. Demon Immortal Chi Ju approached Fang Yuan. As the dust clouds faded away, Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress appeared in everyone's vision again. They saw that this Earth Path Immortal Goo House was 30% shorter. The surface seemed damaged, but no holes were created. Demon Immortal Chi Ju squinted as he sighed internally. This Immortal Goo House's defense is likely the highest of all Immortal Goo Houses that currently exist. Immortal Killer Move. Accumulated Soil Mountain. Within the Immortal Goo House, Fang Yuan injected Immortal Essence as he activated the core killer move. Countless Earth Path Goo Worms flew up in sovereign Immortal Aperture, entering the Immortal Goo House. After 3 breaths of time, not only did Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress recover fully, its appearance also changed. Instead of being round like before, it became more like a tower now. There were edges and sharp corners. Even someone like Demon Immortal Chi Ju stared at this with wide eyes. He felt a little empty internally. This was too shameless. Not only did Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress have high defense, Its recovery speed was also this fast. In the current world, most immortal goo houses could not be easily repaired. When replenishing goo worms, those positions were usually fixed. It was also not as easy as placing goo worms into these specific positions. There was usually a need to use special goo worms or killer moves to achieve this. Immortal goo houses were a type of mobile immortal formation. To repair immortal goo houses or immortal formations, one had to consider the influence that these actions would have on the main structure. But Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress was different. Looking at one example, repairing other immortal goo houses was like stacking a Jenga tower. The goo immortals had to put specific goo worms into specific holes. During this process, the goo immortal had to use methods to stabilize the tower while placing the goo worms to try to prevent it from toppling. But Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress was the opposite, because the core was made of immortal killer moves. No matter how many Earth Path goo worms Fang Yuan put in, they could easily merge with the tower and have great stability. In fact, they could even alter the properties of the tower. Demon Immortal Chi Ju and Spectral Soul spent so long dealing with Peaceful Soil Heavy Mountain Fortress, they had finally gotten some information about it. Yet after Fang Yuan's modifications, the entire fortress was different than before. Spectral Soul and Chi Ju's probe had to start all over again. How do we fight this? Similar thoughts emerged in the minds of Demon Immortal Chi Ju and Spectral Soul.